now.
Put my glasses on, man, because I got a lot to
say. Do you
say
see
here.
a made three-pointer with those glasses? Because maybe you should wear them more often if so.
I don't. So, number one, they missed Tyrese Maxey badly. That's so
abundantly
obvious.
clear.
I don't need my glasses to see that.
Yes.
So obvious. 2, this team stinks. 3, the fact that they are 2-11 with both Paul George and Joel Embiid out there on the floor. And at this point, it's not about Paul George trying to acclimate himself with the rest of the team, including Joel Embiid, because of the fact that Joel Embiid is not himself right now. So while you're trying to get him into the flow of things, the one that really needs to get it going and pick up things for this basketball team is Paul George. He is the more healthy one. He is the one that, even though on the plus side of 30, we do believe that it looks like he can still do certain things until he gets himself in trouble. Yeah, he's missing wide open threes. As Derek said, those things happen. But when we saw in that first half, the one sequence on the end of the floor where they had a double team on Embiid on the right side of the floor, he kicked it to Paul George to swung it now to whoever, Kelly Oubre over to Jared McCain, bounce pass in the corner to Caleb Martin. That was a perfect possession right there for the Philadelphia 76ers. And at that point, they were humming. At that point of the basketball game, got up by as much as 19. Then it all went away. No matter who was in the game or how they were doing it, we all felt it about to happen. And that's when you know you have a bad basketball team. It's when are they going to screw this up next, and how are they going to do it this time? That time, they were up 19, and by the time you look up, now they're only up by 2. They extended a little bit for halftime, and then when the third quarter starts, as Derek pointed out, they scored 16 points, and Tyler Hero equaled their scoring output in the quarter by himself because of, again, the third quarter kicking them in the you-know-what. This team stinks right now. They cannot make shots. They cannot dribble. They cannot make sound basketball decisions.
Can't inbound the ball.
They cannot inbound the ball 3 times. The first one was Kyle was screaming about the Kyle Lowry timeout on the inbound plays. After
just called a timeout.
Exactly. So how does that happen? Then what do they do when they get it in? They turn the ball over. They do it again later on where they had 2 times with a 5-second violation and then another turnover because they were forced to throw it in, so they didn't get another 5-second violation. Everything is going wrong with this basketball team right now. I did not expect us to be here 13 games in. Can things turn around? Sure they can. But they seem, outside of one player, Jared McCain, they seem so unsure of themselves. And then they're unsure of themselves as a unit together, and they cannot figure out how to play basketball and make winning basketball plays for 48 minutes and pull out a victory. Their 2 wins are in overtime, folks, against Indiana on the road and Charlotte at home. That is bad. This is really bad right now. So as you saw our thumbnail of what is going on with this basketball team right now? We haven't even gotten to the head coach. We'll get to everybody else. They're starting to really look disinterested out there on the floor. And they are 9 games under 500 with Memphis on Wednesday. And we don't know when Tyrese Maxey is coming back. No matter what he's being evaluated for, we don't know when he's coming back. And is he going to save it? Because is Embiid going to be playing? Is Paul George going to hit shots? Are you going to get a good contribution from Kelly Oubre, who is just running into everybody like he's a running back and turning the football over? What is happening with this basketball team right now?
Kevin Love, who can't clear a piece of paper at the rim.
Exactly. So, folks, what is going on with this basketball team?
They missed, this blows my mind. They missed 49 shots. They got 2 offensive rebounds and no second. You get more than 2 offensive rebounds by accident when you miss 49 shots.
Well, hey, at least they paid a backup center this summer whose whole thing is rebounding. That's his whole thing. I think Nick Nurse should pay real close attention to what is happening here, because I don't necessarily blame him for what has happened. I don't think he's the reason that they created a ton of open threes and missed a ton of open threes tonight, right? But I do think as you get deeper into this season, and it's 2-11, it could be 2-12, it could continue to spiral, and you look at, there is no urgency from this group right now, right? This group knew they were coming into this game 2-10, Joel Embiid was doubtful to play, and all of a sudden is playing. So on some level, understands there is an urgency to turn this shit around right now, right? And when push came to shove in the second half, as Derek is laying out these hustle points numbers, the offensive rebounding or lack thereof, these guys got punked. They got beat up and they gave up like that. It's as simple as that, right? And it's a lot easier to give up when you can't make shots, right? I say it all the time. Eventually, the floor just gives out and you just say, what the hell am I supposed to do? We can't do anything right. The effort's not there. But if the effort is not there, if you're not creative on offense, the players are going to start looking around and saying, what the hell am I doing here? What the hell are you doing to help this situation? And if this continues to spiral and they continually get beat up in the third quarter during close games and they get pulled away from every single time, you are running the risk of real mutiny before Christmas happens, right? So these guys need to be very careful from Nick Nurse all through the players on the roster, because the longer this goes, the more this is going to turn into, hey, that's this guy's fault. That's that guy's fault. Don't look at me. I'm doing my job. He's missing shots. I'm just doing my job. Well, I'm just doing my job on defense, and you're not getting there. When this turns into a blame game, this shit is done with. And the reason I brought up on our pregame show today, Draymond Green over the weekend said the Sixers already have a huge task in front of them, right? The guys who are the core players of this team have never won a title, have never climbed the mountain, on most levels do not understand what it takes. Now you add the level of scrutiny that they are going to face for months, potentially, until they somehow climb out of this hole that they dug themselves, is going to add pressure to everything they do, everything they say. Take Paul George's first game, for example. He came back and on night one told the media with a dead serious face, I didn't know the score on the final possession. That was a thing that you could laugh off when it's like 5 games into the season. Nobody's fucking laughing now. So get it together. That's the bottom line.
Blame game, Kyle.
I'm laughing, but that's mostly because
early
I'm dead
in the first quarter,
so.
when Embiid and Jared McCain could not connect on that pass right there in the middle of the floor, and you saw it where the steals happened. Those were the early turnovers from McCain, but you could see Joel's body language. Maybe he was talking to officials, but maybe he was also looking to the sideline like, yo, what is he doing right now of making this pass? And at the end of the game, folks, I don't know if you saw, Derek and Kyle got up because they were doing their things with the writing and all, and I was looking at the television, and as the guys were walking off the floor, Kyle Lowry and Joel Embiid were sitting at the end of the bench together, and it was an animated conversation. They were talking. Who knows? Of course, you know exactly what they were talking about. We stink. How do we fix this problem here right now? And what is going on? And that's exactly where they are. 2 veterans, one, of course, who we know how Kyle Lowry is, a very vocal leader, the one we talk about having that vet in that locker room. They need to have a real conversation to make sure that they are ready to go on Wednesday against the Memphis Grizzlies. And look, folks,
they could be ready and they still might lose because that team's straight up better than them.
Exactly.
It's really just, I mean, even if Memphis isn't healthy, Memphis finds ways to win, right? They've had guys out and they still manufacture ways to win. You have most of the roster available. You have ostensibly, at the very least, the guys who are supposed to be the first and third best player and the entire rest of the roster available. And you're telling me you are incapable of winning games where you're up by 19 points in the first half? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're the only team that looks at, oh, well, got one guy out tonight, might as well throw it away, right? Like that's just, it's an insane position to be in as a basketball team. There is no excuse for how they've played so far. None.
We all silly like the mayor.